Has WWE just delivered the best feud and rivalry for the year? This all feels like it was kind of by accident, and a happy accident if you ask me. And this feud has gone on longer, has had more twists and turns than I thought it would even have. Frankly, if this was like 10 years ago under Vince McMahon, they would have won the title already, and they would have been done their feud in about 60 days. But it hasn't had a title. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, we haven't seen the World Heavyweight Championship make an appearance. We have seen this feud evolve to be going from a personal rivalry dealing with the injuries and the disdain and dislike Drew McIntyre has had for CM Punk, to evolving into a story that hasn't needed a belt and utilized the bracelet as a storytelling device, making the story feel personal and taking it up a notch and increasing the intensity of the whole thing. And bear in mind, we have gone months where CM Punk had been injured throughout the entire thing, and they were still able to make it work and still make it intriguing every single time these two would get on screen together. Remember how this all started though? Drew McIntyre had already turned heel and was getting really good at finding his character, having the matches against Seth Rollins and evolving his character into kind of what we know it to be today. For Drew McIntyre's character, it's been a breath of fresh air for me watching him going from a straightforward babyface or a little bit more of a nasty heel to really finding his voice, to being just almost a troll online when it comes to the IWC, WWE fans, CM Punk fans. It's been great to see how his character has changed. When CM Punk came back at Survivor Series and we had that great moment of him arriving and the reaction of Seth Rollins in War Games at the very end of the night and the fan footage, it really felt and it seemed like that was going to be the match for WrestleMania 40. Everything seemed to be lining up that way. And CM Punk's return and subsequent injury really affected the WrestleMania 40 plans and how things actually turned out. In the Royal Rumble match, as we know, CM Punk was injured in the moment with Drew McIntyre. And because of that, he was out for several months rehabbing and getting surgery done, and the Seth Rollins CM Punk match never happened. This actually caused WWE to pivot in a big way, and I think it was almost a domino effect. Worked out really well for Cody Rhodes though, but it really seemed like we were going to get CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, with Punk winning the Royal Rumble. By all accounts, it seems like WWE called an audible by having Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble. Now, obviously, we had a lot of kerfuffle going on with that, and it makes me wonder, just as a sidebar, it really makes me wonder what the real plan was going to be for Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania if Punk didn't get injured, how things would have changed. But as Punk got injured, the match was called off, so WWE pivoted. And instead of keeping Punk off of TV and rehab for 6 months, and then let's just start all over again, they went the other way. And this was one of the things that I really liked about WWE and their approach with all of this was, let's not keep the guy off TV. Let's keep him front and center, and let's get him into a program and utilize him as best we can. Let's use those mic skills. And they leaned into the injury, and they leaned into the confrontation between Drew and Punk, and they kept Seth Rollins around as well. And we knew that we were going to get Seth Rollins and CM Punk at some point. Watching this feud unfold as we still are in the midst of it, the promo work alone between these two has been excellent. Every time I see Drew and Punk in the ring together, or chirping each other, or causing mayhem between one another, it's been one of my favorite pieces of Monday Night Raw. Seeing Drew McIntyre's character just get obsessed and wanting to take everything away from CM Punk and constantly fixate on him and going overboard and causing himself to lose at WrestleMania essentially because he won the world title. He defeated Seth Rollins on night 1 of WrestleMania 40 with CM Punk on commentary, only to go one step too far, got into it with Punk at ringside, Damian Priest cashes in, and Drew loses the title just as quick as he picked it up. This then springboarded their feud, and we have spent the last several months building the anticipation of getting the one-on-one match between these two. And we finally got these two in the ring. We finally got CM Punk in a match at SummerSlam with special guest referee Seth Rollins. And I loved how they did this because you were combining all the story elements, keeping all three guys relevant with their story, with their conflicts, and allowing them to build off of the entire scenario, and giving us a lot of question marks of when will Seth and Punk have their match? Will Drew and Punk be one and done at SummerSlam, and then they all move on in different directions. That was not the case. And Drew McIntyre beat CM Punk at SummerSlam because Punk was the one getting distracted and fixated on the bracelet that Drew McIntyre had taken away from him, that a fan had given him, becoming such a central focus of their feud every single week. And in between all of this, I love the beatdowns that we saw where Drew McIntyre would just decimate CM Punk on SmackDown, leaving him a bloody mess. The attacks left and right, Punk screwing over Drew McIntyre, Clash at the Castle. This all made for just excellent programming, and then it led to their match at Bash in Berlin in a strap match. So we got a second gimmick match in this whole thing, and at the end, CM Punk got his first victory in WWE in over a decade. And it's amazing seeing this story unfold for so many months where they weren't even wrestling each other. So as a fan, I have to commend WWE for making the story interesting, keeping it relevant, and making me interested to see when they were finally going to wrestle, how it was going to play out. To me, it's a good example of Triple H's modern storytelling where it is less of the in-ring action sometimes, and sometimes it's more focused on just the actual story and utilizing things like a bracelet that a fan gave him, something worth 10 cents, and idolizing it and utilizing it as a storytelling device and making it so relevant and making it so personal that instead of it being a world title, it's a little bracelet on their wrist, and that's what's gearing this story going forward. But then we see how things have unfolded after the strap match, and you have Drew McIntyre ripping that bracelet apart and ending that chapter of their story, which leads us into the next piece of Bad Blood. Now, could this be the blow off for their entire feud? I think it's more of just ending the chapter for now. 3 matches, 3 gimmick matches. I don't think that this is one of those stories in WWE that ever truly ends. I think it will continue on for years. So how do we continue things on, and how do we keep this thing interesting and relevant? WrestleMania 41 is not that far off in the grand scheme of things. And if everybody is staying healthy, Punk, Drew, Seth Rollins when he returns, we can continue a really cool and interesting dynamic between these 3. Do we need a 4th and 5th match right away between Punk and Drew? Not necessarily, but with Seth Rollins coming back at some point and getting into the mix with Punk and with Drew McIntyre, we could see things take another shift. We could get a triple threat match between these 3, which we have yet to see. This could be at the Royal Rumble. This could be the WrestleMania match and do a 3-way. Or we could see Drew McIntyre beat Gunther for the world title in the next few months, allowing Drew to pivot back to CM Punk and continuing their feud. Right now, it really feels more interesting to have Drew and Punk fighting than Seth Rollins and CM Punk, which was the initial plan in the beginning. I think that if they can get to WrestleMania with the title on the line between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, maybe Seth Rollins included as well, you've created a year-long story. WWE has an opportunity with Punk and with Drew and with Seth to do some really cool storytelling, where we could see CM Punk win the Royal Rumble as he was presumably planned to do last year, go on to WrestleMania to fight a champion, Drew McIntyre, his longtime bitter rival for the entire year, and win the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk has already teased this with Gunther challenging him, calling him out, wanting the world title. And even if we get to WrestleMania and it's Drew and Punk one-on-one for one final time and Punk wins, the story never ends according to Triple H. We could see that story as a chapter and that one come to a close for a little bit, and they could then proceed with Seth Rollins versus CM Punk with the world title involved. But then it could end up being a really cool thing where the stories and the characters, it's kind of reversed. A champion babyface CM Punk going up against maybe a jealous, disgruntled, bitter heel in Seth Rollins, who to me needs a fresh character and a facelift when it comes to his overall character in WWE. Because we have seen the character of Seth Rollins, the architect, we have seen him go over and being the revolutionary. But the current iteration of Seth Rollins that we still continue to see feels like it's overstayed its welcome and could use a refresh. And having him go heel against Punk could be really, really interesting. Almost like Drew McIntyre turning heel and then getting into the program with Punk. If you want to keep Punk as a top babyface in WWE, especially as you go into Monday Night Raw in 2025 on Netflix, you want that star power over there. And a big program going into WrestleMania of Drew and Punk, and then going out of WrestleMania with maybe Seth and Punk, could keep them going for the next year after that. This type of storytelling we see also with the Ula Fala, where Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa are battling it out for the title of Tribal Chief. And what I really enjoy about this aspect of WWE right now is they're getting creative with the storylines and moving beyond the title belts. We have those storylines around the world title, around the WWE title, but instead of giving us just a match or a feud that is two people that don't like each other for whatever reason, and they feud for a month to 3 months and then it's over and they move on, instead, we are seeing these prolonged stories, these deep dives, the storytelling where they are bringing in other objects and other things to represent their family, friends, their dog. And it takes the intrigue for me up a notch, where I want to see sometimes Drew McIntyre win. I want CM Punk to conquer him. I wonder what will happen with Seth Rollins. Things in WWE are definitely changing, and I think we are seeing that on a week-to-week basis with how a lot of the superstars are presented, like Punk and Drew. The storytelling, even the production is changing. So to talk more about those changes, click this video right here, because it's everything that has been changing in WWE and what's to come next. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. See ya.